How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at the essential smokes for CS2 Ancient. These are the smokes that I consider to be absolutely necessary to learn in order to be able to play this map at a high level. But before we get into all of that, I do want to thank today's sponsor, SkinsMonkey. But what's SkinsMonkey, you might ask? Well, it's an automated CS2 trading site that provides an instant way for you to get new skins, and all you have to do is select the old skins that you don't want anymore and grab some new ones from the monkey. They also have a 24/7 live support system and some amazing filter and selection features. But that's not all. You could get up to a free $5 when using code TACTICS on the site. And you could also get up to a 35% deposit bonus when using that same code. So don't miss out on this offer. Go ahead and click that link down in the description and check out SkinsMonkey today. Let's get back into the video. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with mid by talking about the Ancient Instant Red Smokes. There are only 3 spawns that you're able to do this from, and it's pretty easy. You only have to memorize 3 lineups. So for the first one, all you're going to do is just aim above this flat portion of the leaf and do a W jump throw, and as you can see, that smoke's going to end up bouncing right here and landing in the dead center, completely smoking that off. Now, for the next position, it is this spawn right here. You're going to end up finding these little triangle pieces. You're going to find the one that's covered up by this leaf and do yet again another W jump through, and as you can see, it's going to bounce right off that same middle step and smoke it off. And last but not least, for spawn 5, you're going to find the hooked portion of this branch and do yet again another W jump throw, and you guessed it, it's going to end up bouncing right off that middle step and completely smoking off red ring. Now, if you can't be bothered to learn all of those instant smoke lineups, you can get stuck right here alongside this rock and do a W jump throw at this little brick sticking out behind this Y intersection in the tree. As you can see, that should take the exact same trajectory as all of those others, bouncing off the middle step and completely smoking off red room. Now, the main reason I like throwing it from here is because there are tons of other lineups you can throw from the same position. For example, if you aim right here at the corner on the top right of this little doorway, that's going to end up going all the way up here, banking off the roof, and completely smoking off this region just outside of Jaguar. A lot of people will call this area Shelf, Heaven, or even NNA. Sometimes people will call it Snake. Whatever you call it, it's going to deny the CTs from peeking and taking those nice duels as you're coming up here taking control towards B. Or hey, if someone else has already smoked red and you're just wanting to take full mid control, you can do a simple jump throw at the gap just to the left of this brick right here along the wall. And that's going to go all the way up here. It's going to bank off of this wall and completely smoke off Donut, as you can see right here. Now, there is one issue that I generally find with the smoke, and that's the fact the CTs can still be in cover right here and take an angle. Now, of course, you are going to spot them first as you're coming around this corner, so it's really easy to clear and deal with. But if you want it to go a little bit further out, instead of aiming up here at this position, you can just aim at the bottom of this V, and that's going to be a little bit further out. However, I find this a little scary because it does become somewhat lurky where they could kind of slip out of the stairs, so it's whatever you prefer to throw, you go right ahead and throw it. Now, of course, there are a couple of smokes that can't be thrown from this position right here. For example, the Jaguar or Cave smokes. If you get stuck right here into this back left corner and do a simple jump throw right here at the corner of this building, that should go all the way down here into the entrance and completely smoke off Jag. Now, as you can see, this smoke is going to fully expand in to smoke them out to where they can't really do anything. Now, of course, they can use this smoke as an opportunity to get into some pretty solid positions. So there is a new smoke that I've been seeing thrown quite recently by the pros by getting stuck into this corner instead and doing a jump throw right in the middle of this brick. Now, what this is going to do is it is a very deep smoke all the way up in here to the entrance over here towards Cave, and as you can see, that right there is going to deny them from being able to freely move back and forth around here. They would have to push through the smoke, which is definitely going to be very risky and makes it far easier for you to come through here and clear out these angles. You can then either do a little bit of spamming or even just wait for this thing to fade, and boom, you have all of this control for free. Alright, so let's talk about the instant elbow smokes. I've made plenty of videos covering these, but these are the most important smokes you can learn for CT side. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do these somewhat quickly. So from the first spawn, you're going to go right here into this little window. I like to aim on the right side of it and just do a nice little shift wall jump throw. Now that is going to end up going all the way up here, should bank off the right side and completely smoke off the inside of elbow, just like this. Now for the next spawn over, you're going to end up finding this leaf. You're going to go down to the middle of the brick and do yet again another shift wall jump through. Now for the middle spawn, you're going to end up finding that same leaf and you're going to go just to the left of this little divot right here. It takes a little bit of time to get used to looking for this little piece, but generally I'm going to aim right here and do yet again another shift walk jump throw. for the second spawn over from the left, you're going to end up doing pretty much the same thing, but you're going to find this position right here and do yet again another shift wall jump throw. And for the final spawn, you're going to go up from the top right of this position right here to this brick and do yet again another shift wall jump throw. And just like that, you've got all of the instant smokes for Elbow here on Ancient. All right, so now that we've got our basic mid smokes out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the A site. Generally, I like to throw everything from this corner right here because again, it's pretty easy to get stuck into, and you can have a teammate drop you an extra smoke right here, and it's very easy for them to help you out. So what I generally am going to throw in a 2 smoke set is I'm going to do a crouching jump throw at the top left corner right here alongside the entrance. That is going to be a perfect CT smoke. As you can see, it should go all the way up here and completely smoke off this area without any gaps. Now, from that same position, I'm then going to aim right here where this little intersection is between the plants and do a nice and simple W jump throw. That's going to go all the way up here. It's going to pass through that brick. However it does it, I don't know, but it's going to land right here in the entrance of Donut. And if you throw both of those really quickly back to back, you have a nice 2 smoke setup that's going to completely allow you to move on into sight. Generally, I like throwing the Donut one first, then going back and doing a crouching jump throw for CT, because that means they're going to land a little bit closer together timing wise. However you prefer to go about it, that's totally fine. But as you can see, these beautiful smokes pop at the exact same time. Now, on occasion, I'll see people throwing the CT smoke, and instead of throwing that standard donut smoke, they'll throw a deeper one by crouching, aiming at this position right here, and doing a simple jump throw. This thing's gonna go all the way up and land straight down deeper into Donut, smoking it off at this point where your teammates can move up and actually clear out this front area and have a little bit more space in the post plant. But honestly, if you're playing with random teammates, I would recommend throwing the closer up one because someone's gonna end up misunderstanding that, getting killed, and probably getting a little bit frustrated with you. Now, you can also throw that exact same 2 smoke set from right here alongside the railing. If you aim right up to the second little diamond up and do a simple jump throw, well, that is going to end up banking off this back wall and perfectly smoking Donut off yet again. And from that exact same position, you can aim in the middle of this darker diamond right here and do a simple jump throw for a CT smoke. Now, there is one flaw to this, and that's the fact that this CT smoke goes a little bit further right to where right off the beginning, it isn't going to completely smoke off this corner, but after about 3 or 4 seconds, it will fully conceal this spot. But make sure you're calming that to your teammates, and honestly, it's probably just a better idea to throw the other one altogether. Now, I'll see a lot of channels showing off temple smokes that look something like this. From that same corner, they end up landing all the way into this nice little entrance to temple. And while these were okay in CSGO, in CS2 they just spill out a little too far for my liking, and it makes it just too easy for the CTs to pop out of these and just get a nice lurky flank on anyone. So what I recommend doing instead is just waiting until you're up close and just aiming up above this shadow right here and just doing a simple run through. That's going to end up landing all the way up in here, and if you'll notice, that smoke does not hardly spill out at all, so it makes it way easier to hold for any of the CTs that are pushing out. Again, it's super easy. You never even have to expose yourself, right? After you've cleared this out, ideally you maybe have a teammate that's starting to scale with you, and you can just throw it like this as you're moving out with the execute, and just like that, you have a nice smoke that's going to help you take sight without being advantageous for the CTs. Alright, so let's take a look at the B site. In my opinion, the safest and easiest smokes are from this corner right here. So starting off with the short smoke, you're going to find the lower left-hand portion of this center brick right along this black dot and do a simple jump throw. That's going to end up banking off the wall here and being a nice and deep short smoke. The reason I like this one is because it's going to be a little bit more tucked to where it's less likely for them to push through it and try to take fights onto sight. Now, for the long smoke from that exact same position, you're just going to find this gap right here to the right of the X, just a little bit up, and do a simple jump throw. This is going to go all the way up here. It should bounce off the top and then land right down here, perfectly smoking off long. As you can see here, you have a nice tucked smoke here. So if you throw both of those in a pretty quick succession, as you can see, we're going to throw the short smoke, and we're now going to throw the long smoke. And just like that, you're going to have a nice 2 smoke setup that should perfectly allow your team to take all of this space as quickly as possible. One thing I see a lot of pros do is they'll pair up a molly by aiming just below this black dot here on the wall and just doing a nice shift walk jump throw. Just a couple of steps, it'll land right here in the entrance of cave, and it should wrap all the way around to completely molly out anyone from cover on this pillar and cause them to get brought right down. Now, sometimes before I'm throwing the execute, I like to be more involved in the kind of holding of this area of map control. And unfortunately, if you're just set up back here, there's not a whole lot you can do. So I like to hang out around these doors. That way, once it's time to execute, I can just go right here into this X, and I'll throw that exact same set by doing a left click throw with the smoke at the top of this plant, and then a jump throw from the right of the 7 to the edge of the box, just like this. I can then do a simple left click right here at the corner of this building for that backside Molotov, and as you can see here, I have pretty much that identical set, all from one position right here. Now, that smoke doesn't go as deep, but it should still work just fine for a nice and quick execute, whereas kind of the trade-off is you get to be closer up and you can sort of join the execute and try to help trade your teammates out, whereas otherwise you would be a little bit further behind. Now, altogether for both of these sets, you're gonna wanna do the long smoke first. So generally I'm gonna do this, and then of course pair up that nice molly, and just like that, you have a set that's gonna be landing pretty much at the exact same time, and a very potent execute for sight. Of course, if you watch my videos on flashes, you can either throw this flash, or perhaps even this flash, to really blind all of those enemies, so feel free to check out that video if you're more interested in these sorts of one-way team-safe flashes. Now, another extremely useful smoke is from this corner right here. You can do a simple left click throw at the tip of the leaf right in this position for a perfect lurk smoke on B site. This is going to smoke off the entire right hand side of site, and what this is going to do is, even if you're not using it to push up onto site, and if you do, hey, you have some fantastic close angles, anyone back behind this thing is going to have no information. So generally, at the very least, this is going to end up baiting out some form of utility from the CTs. And if you use it, especially if this is especially useful on eco rounds when you're using MAC-10s, SMGs, you're getting these nice close duels. You can pretty much always get a free plant, and it's going to put a ton of pressure on these players if you decide to just use it for conditioning or while you're lurking. And again, you'll typically see people pairing up that smoke with the molly we showed earlier, where you're just going to take a couple of steps with a shift walk jump throw, and just like that, you have a nice little setup that's going to prevent anyone from getting up close in front of this before your team is ready to push out. Now, I also like throwing this as an early lurk smoke right out of spawn, so I'm going to go alongside this crack and do a simple W jump throw alongside this brick right here. Now, that should land in pretty much the same spot as we talked about earlier. It's going to end up smoking off this entire right side of site, so anyone behind it is not going to be able to see a thing. They're going to be forced to either throw utility through it or try to play up in front of it. And hey, if you're on an eco round, you can get these nice close range duels. They're going to be a little bit beneficial to the MAC-10s. Now, a lot of people like to smoke off the entrance to cave by just doing a simple jump throw at this little brick right here. Now, this is all right, but what it's going to do is it's going to land right on the inside of the doorway, and it ends up spilling out a little bit too far for my liking. It makes it to where it's kind of difficult to hold this far angle, and they can also kind of slip out of the smoke fairly easily. So what I would recommend doing instead, even though it's a little bit more complicated, you're going to find this little gap right here in the bricks, and you're going to go right down to the middle of this second one down and do a W jump throw. Now, this smoke should go all the way through and end up smoking off on the inside to where it doesn't spill out hardly at all. As you can see here, much easier to hold this far line, and you can catch anyone that tries to slip through. Way bigger smoke that I would recommend throwing every single time. Alright, so that just about completes my full list of essential smokes that you need to know for CS2 Ancient. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you learned something new, feel free to leave a like or consider subscribing. Before I go, I do want to thank my channel members on screen right now. Thank you guys so much for letting me do what I love every single day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.